Hello, Jordan.
Bro, they tried to assassinate Trump.
They tried to assassinate President Trump.
I mean, we got to start with that. I feel like things have been so crazy over the last 4 years that people are almost desensitized to this, where it's not as big of a deal as it should be. This is absolutely insane. And I feel like people are just going about as though it's not a big deal.
People are just going about their lives as if it's not a big deal. And we've talked about this off pod, obviously. I want to give context because part of the reason we never talk current events is the delay between recording and uploading. So Tuesday, July 16th just happened 3 days ago. Who knows what is going to happen in the next week or so until this gets uploaded. Completely insane. I have woken up every day since still shocked. 1 inch from being very, very bad.
A completely different world.
A completely different world in ways that I don't think that I can even imagine.
Man.
By the way, I had a feeling that you would want to talk about this, so I wrote down a bunch of takes.
Oh, I love that. I mean, what do you want to start with? One of the takes that you wrote down? What are you thinking?
All right, we're gonna start more on the more acceptable and reasonable side, and we can gradually work our way up to wherever we want to take this.
Yeah.
My first takeaway or gut feeling was how close we were to having something absolutely catastrophic. My second,
you mean Civil War type thing?
People throw around Civil War. I don't think that groups in America can properly organize now for an actual, but just way more chaos, violence on a micro level. And when I say I don't think I can predict what that would look like, I really don't have any idea. I'm so grateful that the bullet missed by less than an inch, because I think I texted you after you sent me a video. Fear levels 99. We joke around on this podcast about your and my fear levels, and mine are generally very low. It rattled me. My second immediate takeaway is that it's very, very sad. The guy who died there protecting his family, dove over his wife and daughter. Complete innocent dude who died as a result of this evil.
Yeah.
I'll just continue to go down the list until you want to end. I mean, do you have any takeaways?
I mean, I think I'm just shocked at what I'm seeing online, right? I'm seeing a bunch of different reactions. Some people are saying they're upset that they missed, which is just the craziest thing in the world to me. This is, by the way, I've said this for years. I've been very outspoken about this. I've always hated when people have compared Trump to Hitler. I've hated it for so many reasons. And it wasn't for this reason. I hated it because it's a spit in the face of all of those who were systematically murdered by Hitler. It was Hitler, the evil that he perpetrated is beyond anything that you can ever imagine. And if you haven't studied Hitler, you haven't read books on Hitler, and you don't understand the true evil that this man embodied and the system that he created, to just nonchalantly compare Hitler to Trump is a spit in the face of all those innocents who were ruthlessly murdered by him. Millions and millions and millions of people. But now another reason comes to light as to why you can't do that, because, well, if someone is saying, well, they are Hitler, and over and over again, he's Hitler, he's Hitler, he's Hitler. Someone, a young, impressionable person, can take that to mean, if that's Hitler, if that person is as bad as Hitler, If that person is a true threat to democracy, then someone needs to stop him. And no one's stopping him, so I will. That's what happens. And it's funny because it's not funny. It's interesting to see a lot of the people who've been making those comparisons walking it back. A lot of the news stations, a lot of the actors, a lot of the people in the world who have made these comparisons to him being a fascist Hitler are now saying, yeah, maybe we need to tone it down. Maybe like that wasn't the right thing to say. Which respect for walking it back, but the damage is done. Like you've influenced enough people to actually believe that. And I'm sure there will be people listening who are upset, being like, he is like Hitler. No, he's not. Not even in the same ballpark. Not even in the same nation. Nowhere close at all. And to think that is so wrong. I can't even put it into words.
Yeah, that could be a whole entire separate episode distinguishing. I think we have to move forward on the premise that Donald Trump and Adolf Hitler are nowhere near the same. Like I think just for the sake of conversation, like we have to assume that everyone listening understands that, and anyone who doesn't, that could even be a separate conversation. Because you're right. Since 2016, potentially 2015.
I think 2015, yeah, when he became a serious contender.
Literal fascist, literally Hitler, and then in like the 2018, 2019, 2020 threat to democracy. He will be the last president. He wants to be king. All of these ideas and comparisons that have been spouted from a lot of people in the mainstream, like on basically all mainstream news networks, these ideas have been floated around over the last 8 or 9 years. Many prominent individuals in politics have ran with these comparisons and these lines. And you make a great point. When you do that, someone is like, there is accountability on the individual, right? You can't blame the majority of the blame goes on the person who pulled the trigger, not on the rhetoric, right? But if Trump literally is Hitler, then why are people wishing him a speedy recovery?
Correct. Exactly.
Right?
No one would wish Hitler a speedy recovery when he was attempted assassinations at the Wolf Slayer, but
or even the it's like a thought exercise in morality. If you could go back in time and there was baby Hitler, would you kill baby Hitler? And the majority of people understanding what he did throughout his life say that you have a moral obligation to kill baby Hitler. If Trump is literally Hitler, why all of the get well soon sentiments?
Yeah, correct. It's a completely, actually, it's even interesting. I don't know if you saw Jack Black was doing a concert. He was doing a tour with his co-whatever in their band, Kyle Glass. And on stage, I think it was not last night, the night before, one of them, Jack Black was like, it was Kyle's birthday or something. He's like, what's your birthday wish? And Kyle was like, next time, don't miss Trump. And now, and I think Jack Black, he just canceled the tour after that. He was like, and Jack is a very openly anti-Trump guy. He does not like Trump. He's been very clear about that. But he's immediately after, he's like, all right, that was not okay. You don't wish death on that person. And if it was Hitler, then that'd be okay to wish death on.
Yeah. Dude, that's actually one of the things that I've been happy to see are, call it leaders who oppose Trump, or call it popular politicians and just popular people in the Democratic Party, AOC, Obama, people with really big profiles immediately coming out and
same with Biden. And
Biden as well.
They did a great job very quickly being like, this is not okay.
Speaking out against political violence, which seems obvious, but I'm at the very least happy to see that. But yeah, I'm with you in that I was surprised by the amount of I wish it would have, I wish he didn't miss. And not only online, but from all various places, I was surprised to hear that. I was surprised with the immediate. Maybe I wasn't surprised, but just a lot of it was staged. It was staged.
I was surprised with that. I was very surprised at how much of that I've seen.
I wasn't, only because everyone is so skeptical of everything, but with 2 seconds of critical thinking to think that someone would put their life at risk, assuming a sniper could hit their ear so that they achieved this like higher level of prominence, is a wild level of ignorance. And then the third group is, like you mentioned out the gate, is people who just kind of continue to go about their day.
I get it. Yeah, but
I don't.
I mean, there's only so much you can control. So it's just
an attempt on a president or former president's life, and not just former president, but by the polls, the front runner for the next presidency in less than 4 months. Wild. It hasn't happened in our lifetime. And so for people, and maybe people were invested, but just not speaking publicly about it. And when I say publicly, I mean even on group chats with friends, maybe people are having those conversations more privately, but the seeming level of disinterest was wild to me.
Dude, going to the staged part, because I think this is really important. And anyone who's shot a gun will immediately know this was not staged. If you've never shot a gun, first and foremost, just look at Trump's head as he's talking. He's constantly moving his head.
Moving around.
This is not a still target. He's not just standing there stock still. If this was staged, Trump would be standing there, head complete. I don't care if it's a super trained sniper or not. If you think someone's going to shoot a gun from 125, 150 yards away and have a 5.56 bullet whiz by your good, he's standing stock still if this was staged. And he was not. He was moving back and forth. His head was going all over the place, which, by the way, why he was saved, because at the last millisecond he tilted his head to look at the screen with all the information, and it whizzed right by his ear. And there's diagrams of this, like you get the last millisecond, he moved his head, boom, and it hit his ear. If he didn't move his head, it would have went right through his brain.
And when you say millisecond, 0.03 to 0.05 seconds.
Yes, insane. Now, there's so much that's crazy about this, but now we're going to get into some of the crazy stuff people might get upset about. But to execute this shot, let's not even talk about getting up on top of this building, which, by the way, was being used as a staging area for local law enforcement, and walking around with a rifle in his hand and a ladder, climbing up in broad daylight. Secret Service having spotted him 30 minutes prior to the shoot. Never mind any of that. Let's just talk about the shot. Just the shot. A lot of people hear 100, 125, 150 yards, whatever it is. That is what this style of gun is made for. AR-15s, they're made for this length of shot, so that's fine. Let's just talk about the pressure that you've got. Number one, I'm assuming everyone has heard, there were at least one, if not two, police officers that confronted the kid before he shot. They popped their head up, and then very quickly he fired the shot off. So he had to do it relatively rushed, and it was going literally straight for his head. He knows that he's about to shoot and potentially kill a former president of the United States. He knows he's about to die for what he's going to do. The nerves that must have been going through this kid, I can't even imagine the fear. And to get a shot off at 125 yards, that accurate in that, not to mention, if you watch the videos, there are people screaming and pointing, he's there, he's up on the roof before he shoots. He has all of this noise, he has all this distraction, all of this fear. If you slightly pull the trigger a little too hard, that the recoil completely makes the bullet go in a different direction. Just a slight amount of too much force pulled on that trigger makes it a not accurate shot. It was a very accurate shot that just missed because of Trump's head movement. I mean, that's wild to think about how good of a shot and how calm this kid is in this absolutely insane situation. Never mind actually getting to that position to begin with and no one actually coming up and stopping him.
Yep. Not staged. Not staged.
Definitely not staged.
The intent was to kill Donald Trump.
Yes, and he was millimeters away.
Well, we can continue to go into more of what you alluded to in terms of potential inside job. At the very least, insane levels of incompetence. And I think probably by now, I would call that still unlikely. Like at the very least, that's what happened. Still probably unlikely. One quick note. Trump's reaction was out of this world.
Unbelievable.
Like, I try to put myself in that situation, and I would have been so like bullet. You hear it whiz by, you feel it. You literally know you are within an inch of your death. You hit the ground. I'm crawling off. Like, get me out of there. He stops the Secret Service to fist pump and say fight. And that was wild levels of awareness, courage. Just badass.
It was insane. And I mean, for whatever it's worth, a lot of people are like, well, clearly it was staged because he was doing that. It's like, that's not the case. I mean, again, we could even think about Ronald Reagan, the video of him. Number one, he was shot. And there was another moment where, this video has gone viral. I'm sure you've seen it numerous times. There was a time when he's giving a speech after he was shot. There's a later speech. There was a huge balloon pop, and many people thought that it was a gunshot. And Ronald Reagan stands there, doesn't move, doesn't flinch. He just says, "Missed me." That's all he says. And it was within milliseconds. Some people are just different. Some people are just built different.
Some people build themselves differently. I don't even want
Yeah.
Because I do think at the end of the day, courage is an option. Right? I don't think I would have crawled off stage because I have a genetic deficiency. I think because, you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I understand. I mean, I would imagine the amount that he's been through with I don't know how many assassination attempts there have been. I'm assuming this isn't the first. I'm assuming he's known his life is on the line. The amount of resiliency and courage that builds through the process of years of, I guarantee there are things that we don't know about that there have been attempted assassinations before. He hears about it all the time, death threats, all this stuff.
But you don't think Trump would have told us about
I mean, I'm sure, who knows? I'm sure it may be out there, he's spoken about it, but I think this is clearly, obviously the closest anyone has ever gotten without question. But he's not an idiot. He knows his life is in danger every day.
But
you know what I mean?
To have the take that, he reacted in such a unbelievably courageous way, it had to be staged, says more about the person leaving that comment than it does about anyone else.
100%.
Just a lack of understanding of what kind of courage is possible in a human being.
Absolutely insane. I don't know what the world would look like if the shooter was successful. I feel terrible for the shooter's parents.
Yeah.
The father apparently was asked to comment, and his one comment was I'm not saying anything until I know what the fuck is going on. They lost their son.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
And obviously the innocent man who was killed. I think there are a couple others who were critically wounded. It's a terrible, terrible situation. It's the people who say it's staged really fucking piss me off. It's really, it's just infuriating at this. Yeah, it's infuriating.
Yeah.
There are people, it was a ketchup packet or it was glass. Get the fuck out of here.
And those are
You're so blindsided.
Those are the same those are the same people that are so anti-Alex Jones for saying Sandy Hook was staged, which was an awful thing for him to say.
Horrific, terrible thing for him to say. Yes, exactly.
Obviously, we can continue to say that 10 plus years later, but it's the opposite of that. They're doing what they hate.
It's the exact same thing. They're doing the exact same thing in reverse. Yes, exactly.
Yeah. I haven't seen any public takes saying that this kid, I don't even know his name, the 20-year-old on the roof, I haven't seen anyone publicly saying that they don't think that he was the only shooter, but I wouldn't be surprised if by the time this podcast releases, there is more discussion around that point. There's going to be a huge investigation, right? And we, the public, probably aren't going to get the full details of that investigation, probably ever. But, I don't know the timing on when we're going to hear anything. I just think of that JFK documentary from 2021 that you and I watched together. And
Through the Looking Glass, I think it was, right?
Yeah, good memory. Yep.
It's one of the best. There's not a week that goes by that I don't think about that documentary.
So anyone who hasn't seen it should absolutely watch it. It's relatively short. All right, now I don't even remember. Was that the 4-part or was it just one?
I think it was one long one.
Yeah, like 2 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah. Multiple shooters. I don't know.
We still don't have the details on JFK. Mm-hmm. No president has shown us the fully redacted files. We still don't know, and it was supposed to be after 50 years, and we still don't have it. Mm-hmm. It's like
which tells you that it wouldn't be good if everybody knew what actually happened.
That's exactly right. It would not be good if everyone knew what the hell actually happened. There would be, and what's crazy is, I think right now is if we actually fully knew, I don't think anything would happen. I don't think people would just be like, I knew it. I knew it. And that would literally be it. Or there would be some people it would be funny. The conspiracy theorists would say we knew it. And the people who just believed what they've been told, they'd be like, well, no, that's not true. They'd probably then be conspiracy theorists in the opposite way. That's probably not what actually happened.
The documentary is unbelievably convincing, though.
Yeah, it was absolutely extraordinary.
Any other thoughts?
Any other thoughts? I think that the next 4 months are going to be absolutely crazy.
In terms of discourse or in terms of actual things happening, or both?
Both. I mean, 2020 was nuts, obviously. Mm-hmm. And I think I've said this to you before. I feel like if someone made a movie about everything that we've lived through over the last 4 years, I would say that's too unrealistic. Like, here, check this movie out. Mm-hmm. Like, we're gonna have a pandemic, and we're gonna have like all this stuff that's happened, everything. Mm-hmm. Russia invades Ukraine. We're going to have this pandemic. We're going to have Israel, Gaza. We're going to have China potentially invading Taiwan. We're going to have like all the divisiveness here within the United States. We're going to like everything that's happened. I think that's just too unrealistic. That wouldn't happen in real life. Not to mention, I would love to see what's going on behind the scenes. Dude, even the debate between Trump and Biden, like in a movie, that scene would be unbelievable. You'd be like, we've got these two dudes arguing about their golf handicap.
Let's not be children.
I'm picturing like Will Ferrell in there, like being like, well, it's a 6 or whatever. You know, it's just, the movie would be too unrealistic. And yet we are living through it in everyday life. Mm-hmm. And I think that as we get closer and closer and closer to the presidential election, we are going to see more. I mean, dude, we're even seeing Russia and North Korea forming alliances. We're seeing the Taliban forming alliances with Russia. We're seeing some pretty insane movement globally, creating forces and alliances, just like we did with World War I, just like we did with World War II. I'm not saying, hey, World War III is coming out. I'm not saying that, but I am saying I think the next 4 months are going to be absolutely wild. If I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure, did you see something about men under 26 needing to register for the draft here in the United States recently? I think I saw something about that recently.
I have not.
It's like we're seeing these movements bit by bit by bit, which historically, when these things, like when they happen, just happen bit by bit by bit, slowly and slowly. When you read about it in a history book, it goes from one paragraph to the next very quickly. So it seems like it all just happened very quickly. But we're seeing these movements happen, and I'm like, oh my goodness, this is getting very scary.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what we're going to see. I don't know what to expect. All I know is, or all I think is, the next 4 months and potentially, who knows, next 4 years are going to be absolutely insane. And the only thing that I can keep pointing it to is who's in power.
Mm-hmm.
Because all these crazy things start to happen during election years.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, is it a coincidence? I don't know. But every election year, we're getting something fucking wild.
Mm-hmm. I have another thought. People who are regular listeners of this podcast know how much I deep in my soul despise social media for my own personal use and inability to control consumption of. I am unbelievably grateful in the wake of what just happened that Twitter, now X, is not now what it was 3 years ago.
Yeah.
The fact that a random eccentric billionaire decided to buy Twitter and make it much more uncensored. And if you look at the CNN headline after the assassination attempt, if you look at the Wall Street Journal headlines after the assassination attempt,
Secret Service escorts Trump off after falling.
That was one of them. There was one, Trump falls after loud noises. Like these deliberately deceitful headlines by these mainstream media organizations are all that we received in the past. Think about it. We didn't have an uncensored place where, and part of it is that we now all have literal video cameras on us 24/7. And so there's just more footage of what's going on in the world and then getting uploaded to a place where it's not getting taken down immediately. Thank God that Elon bought Twitter, because it definitely allowed for and has allowed for more even if it comes with downsides, which I'm not arguing that it doesn't, it's provided way more transparency around everything, including events like this.
I had a feeling of like in my brain, it went like, oh, you get it now. When you saw those headlines saying like, Secret Service escorts Trump off after falling, or loud noises. Dude, that's what they've done for years and years and years with Israel. They do it all the time. Mm-hmm. They'll do it like Israel kills like 2 Palestinians or 2 Palestinian boys killed. It's like, well, you forgot to mention that those 2 Palestinian boys went around stabbing innocent Israelis before that the military had to kill them. It's like, and they killed a couple of innocent Israelis before they did that. It's, this is why I hate the media so much, man. It's like these headlines that they use to completely shift a narrative. And it happens in the fitness industry too. I just saw a huge individual put up on his YouTube channel on like he did a whole interview with some trainer, and the thumbnail is saying cardio is a waste of time. And it's just like, that's the thumbnail. That's what people see. So if they don't even watch it, that's what is getting imprinted in their mind. It's just, it happens in every industry, but I feel like, and I know it happens in the US all the time, but this was like, to have such blatant lies and misleading propaganda on a headline from a mainstream article saying Secret Service escorts Trump off after he falls, which, by the way, he didn't fall. Even with the gunshots, he didn't fall. They tackled him. Mm-hmm. It's just, if that doesn't make you question what you're watching, if that doesn't make you question what you're being told, I don't know what will. I don't know what will. And it's so crazy to see here. And before we started, Mike was like, how deep do you want to go on this? And I was like, we'll just play it by ear. I can't help it. Like, and I think both sides do it. I don't think one side is better than the other. I'm not necessarily like one side or the other. I think both sides are equally bad at this. But I remember in like 2016, people were calling any Republicans racist and bigoted because they were talking about the border crisis. And they were literally saying on these news outlets, there's no border crisis. There's no border crisis. It's not real. It doesn't exist. And here we are. It is a very, very real thing that is being spoken about by both parties and how it's a really big problem. But one party and all the mainstream outlets associated with it were saying it doesn't exist. It's not real. And now, oh shit, it is real. And people seem to forget that they just were told and it was shoved down their throat that it's not real. It's not real. It's not real. It's not real. Oh wait, okay. Actually, yes, it is now. If that doesn't make you question what you're being told, I don't know what will. It's mind-boggling to me.
Yeah. Should we move on?
I don't know. What do you think about it?
I'm fully, bro, I don't know if you remember this, but in 2014, I think it was 2014, maybe 2015, I was walking around gyms, turning off the TVs, like videoing myself doing this and posting it on social media. I have been I wrote an article called 40 Rules for Life in 2015, and one of them was never watch the news, like we're being lied to. Tim Ferriss put me onto this in the 4-Hour Workweek with the low information diet, basically saying, would you rather be uninformed or misinformed? You know, if you're not consuming, and Denzel Washington has parroted this too. I love hearing him say it, but if you do consume the news, you're misinformed. If you don't, you're uninformed. Like, which is better? Which is worse? I don't know. And Tim Ferriss's solution was something to the effect of never consume news, because if it is important enough, one, people in your life will be talking to you about it and you can ask them what's going on. And two, I think he used the example, as you walk by a newspaper stand, you can read the headline above the fold and get like the 1 or 2 or 3 biggest pieces of information of the day and just kind of be able to, okay, so this is what people are talking about. But yeah, I'm fully with you on both sides. And when I say both sides, I mean, yes, right and left, and like right-leaning and left-leaning conglomerates and publications, but also individuals, right? Like political influencers on Twitter, right and left, both have their agendas too. So you're going to get partisan takes from that's why I don't want to be consuming it myself. Because I know that very few of those individuals are giving me like good, unbiased truth, which I think is most valuable. But yeah, I'm fully with you on not trusting media and most media being heavily biased.
I think what's a great step, because people are like, well, I don't want to be uninformed, I don't want to be misinformed, whatever. I think one of the best things you can do is study history. Because when you study history, all of these things have happened before in a very similar way. And if you go look back through history and you look at what we know through investigations and what actually happened, you can start to piece together how things might be going now. Like you can get the basics of what's happening now. And then through historical knowledge, you can really start to be like, okay, so this is what happened then. This is what happened then. This is what happened then. All of these things are similar. There's some common denominators. I wonder if the same thing or something similar is happening now. And in my experience, that it tends to work out very close.
So what you're saying is because the CIA shot John F. Kennedy.
Bro, could be a government agency. I don't know, man. It was a great shot. It was a very accurate shot under insane circumstances. That's not like people compare like, oh yeah, it's an easy shot. It's like, if you're at a gun range inside and you're shooting at paper, that's very different than being out in the open publicly, people screaming at you, Secret Service looking at you, cops coming up to look. It's a completely different situation shooting at a real live person. Come on.
100% yes. That said, the rooftop was still within a radius where it was a no-brainer to have it covered.
Obviously, it should have been covered. That's insane, which makes me which by the way, even furthers the point. It's like, why wasn't it covered? How was nobody there?
Wild and scary times.
You see the Secret Service snipers from before the shot was taken to when they start taking their shots. They don't move. They had him in their sights from before he took the shot.
And then there's the, did they need prior authorization?
Approval. From what I've heard, he didn't. From what I've heard from military snipers, like, you don't need, like, someone pointing a gun at a president, like, you don't need approval to take him out. Like, come on.
Yeah.
I mean, it could have just been mistake after mistake after mistake after mistake after mistake after mistake. It could have been that.
What do you attribute the likelihood of that?
Like, percentage-wise?
Mm-hmm.
In my completely uneducated opinion, that is just purely based off of my own biases and my own like complete uneducated opinion, I'd probably put that at like a 5% chance.
Yeah. Okay. 5% chance of mistake is that it was a mistake, is what Jordan's saying.
Yes.
Yep.
Mistake after mistake after mistake after mistake after mistake after mistake, like that many mistakes over and over and over again. What do you think? What's your percentage at?
I think 5's a really good guess. I like that number a lot. I'm not going to go above it.
I mean, it's just a lot of mistakes.
Yeah,
just a lot.
Yeah.
There's too many.
Yeah.
Too many high-level mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to get canceled for this podcast.
See, this is, you understand public perception so much better than me. I'm like, this is going great. And
you're like, yeah, this is, did I go in harder than you expected?
Yeah. You did.
Okay.
But it was just
it's just what I believe the truth is.
It was a very real conversation.
There are going to be movies made about this. There are going to be movies made about this. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, there are entire movies and documentaries made about assassination attempts made on prime ministers, presidents, like people all over the world. There will be a movie made about this.
And it almost can't compete with reality.
Correct.
Like,
I haven't needed coffee in 3 days, dude. I just wake up and I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe that happened.
Cortisol.
My adrenaline's just going.
Uh-huh.
Fitness, calories.
How do you transition? But yeah, let's transition out. It'll be interesting to see what has changed in a week from the time we record this, and because just the speed of new information coming out is wild.
If you're listening to this and you enjoy our podcast overall, if you could leave a 5-star review, especially a written 5-star review, it would mean the world to us, because I guarantee you there are going to be people livid with us who are saying, I did like this podcast, but your discussion of that really made it really bad, and I don't like you, and you're evil, and he is Hitler, da-da-da-da. So if you could leave a 5-star review, that would mean the world to us, just sort of to balance the hate out. That'd be amazing.
Thank you very much. We seriously appreciate you. I have an unpopular opinion.
Okay.
Recreational sports for adults are super overrated.
Interesting. I cannot imagine where you're going to go with this one. Let me hear it, because as of right now, I disagree pretty vehemently. So let me hear your thoughts.
The benefit that people think. So I know a lot of people who use the fact that they occasionally play a recreational sport as justification not to do anything else fitness related. And if you feel like I'm shooting shots at you, there are so many people I know like this that it's definitely not you. And I love you.
There are so many. I'm not shooting shots at you. I know so many people.
At the other 70.
I know so many people. So many. They all do sports. Big sports.
But Jordan, the rationalization of I'm getting benefit from my hour or 2 hours of, I don't even want to insert a specific sport. There are just so many, and I don't want anyone to feel too called out.
Soccer, basketball, tennis.
I'm great with them for enjoyment. I'm great with them for minor cardiovascular benefit. And maybe not even minor, depending on which sport and how hard you're playing that sport. But generally speaking, the type of person who's doing zero strength training and the justification is once a week I play a rec sport, isn't going that hard in their rec sport. And then wondering why they're not making progress, wondering why they're not feeling their best, thinking that there is real longevity benefit to only doing that one rec sport as their physical fitness, and that's going to pay off in the long run. It's unfortunately not that beneficial.
I agree with that. It's obviously more beneficial than not doing anything at all, but that's like a given. But like, I completely agree with that. I think when you said they're overrated, what you really meant was they're overrated in terms of physical health benefit relative. Like, just because you do that doesn't mean you shouldn't also strength train and work out. That's essentially what you mean.
And do actual cardio. Like, if someone's playing like a leisurely pickleball, a couple games here and there, you're
oh wow, you calling your dad out right now?
No, my dad's no. I'm actually, you know what? I should just name someone so that everyone else who feels called out isn't. He doesn't listen to the podcast. I'm calling out my boy. I love him. I love him to death. Anytime we hang out and I ask him how his lifting regimen is going, he like says it's going good, but then highlights that he's playing soccer once a week. And I'm like, I don't think you're really strength training. I think you're just playing soccer. I love him.
Do you say that to him?
No.
Oh, okay. All right. Got it. It's just in your head. You're just like, nice, man. Good. Do you say like, are you strength training too?
See, now if I don't want him to hear this. Maybe we bleep his name out. Yeah. And he says, oh yeah, once a week, like in his home gym, he does something with his dumbbells, and I just don't believe him. I don't.
Got it.
And he's got a lot going on, bless his heart. The global point here is, if you are someone who thinks that replacing strength training for 2 to 3 to 4 hours a week with 1 hour a week or 90 minutes a week of a recreational sport, that's not a trade. You're not getting, they're two completely different things.
Yeah. And they're both valuable and they're both great to have in your life. You don't think so?
Dude, the number of people hurting themselves playing basketball and playing soccer, and then they're out of soccer for 3 or 4 weeks, and then they play again, and then they retweak, and then they're out for another month and a half, and then they're not training because they're hurt from their sport. Yeah, they're both valuable in the sense that a penny and $100 bill are both valuable, but one is a lot more valuable.
That's a real analogy. Oh, man. Man. Yeah, I'm not going to go as intense on that, because I think for me, it's not even about the health in terms of like the cardio or any of that. It's just the community, and especially now.
That's not even, yes, I agree with you on that front. Psychological benefit, enjoyment.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Outdoor physical activity, being around people, I'm all for it. But if that's the true reason, don't use it as a justification to not strength train.
Dude, we're 100% agree with that. And they're different things. Like, one is exercise, one is community.
Yeah.
And it's great to have both.
Yes. You know what? Perfect.
Yeah. I would say one is exercise, one is community. There are some people who go hard with recreational sports. It's very difficult for me, if I'm playing a sport, to not go hard.
Mm-hmm.
It's like very challenging. Like, if I'm playing a sport, I'm going hard. Like, and it will become exercise. Some people are not like that. And it's more like, it's a community thing. And that's wonderful. And that's totally fine. But yeah, that's not your 120 minutes of zone 2 per week. That's not your strength. That's not your exercise for the week. That's part of your community for the week.
Perfect distinction.
Okay. Here's a topic. I made a story. Let me give you the whole context for this. I think this is actually really important. I think it's very interesting. So someone said, how much do genetics impede the ability to lose weight? Let me read you my response and then read you the subsequent question that I got on my Q&A. I said, it's not so much genetics preventing you from losing fat. It's more so your genetics can influence your behavior, which can make fat loss more difficult. For example, hunger levels have a major genetic component. And if you're generally hungrier, it can obviously be way more difficult to stay in a calorie deficit and lose fat. Keep in mind, you will still lose fat as long as you're in a calorie deficit. It just makes it more difficult to sustain a deficit if you have higher hunger levels. non-exercise activity thermogenesis is also largely genetic, which plays a massive role in daily calorie burn. That's what I said. Then someone asked very nicely, they said, where is this? They said, how is NEAT, non-exercise activity thermogenesis, how is NEAT largely genetic? What do you mean by that? And I think it's worth discussing how NEAT is such a genetic component, as a genetic thing that we deal with. Because I think a lot of people assume NEAT is something that you do on your own, like you decide to do it, and you can decide to do it. But there's also a major part of NEAT, I would say the majority of NEAT is you're not deciding. It's just that's how you are. And the way that I always think about it, and I want to hear your thoughts as well, is I always think of, when you're a kid in high school, you can probably imagine there's like one spazzy kid in class who every time he's going in the classroom, he's jumping up and hitting the top of the door, and like his knee is bouncing up and down underneath his desk, and he's running around, and he's probably pretty skinny, usually labeled as ADHD, but the kid just doesn't stop moving, and he's skinny, and he's constantly going all the time, and he's got all of this energy. I think that, number one, I don't think this is a fact. There are some people, like their NEAT can burn over 1,000 calories, whereas other people, their NEAT might only burn 200 or 250 calories, which is a huge difference. Like that amount of difference in caloric burn over the week could be over a pound of fat loss more, just based on how much NEAT that person is doing if their calories are equated. I think what's really interesting is I think a lot of NEAT is based on like your psychology, right? So like if you're the kind of person, my wife, for example, her head's always going. She's always got something going on. She can't stop. She can't just sit down. She's like, I've got this to do. I've got that to do. I've got this to do. I've got that to do. I've got to go, 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 go. She's thinking and she's got to get up. Whereas me, I can just just zone out. I can be very just like whatever, which is also, I think, in my genetics. Like if you look at my family, we could just sit down and not move a fucking muscle for a long time. So I have to make a lot more of a conscious effort to get up and move. Whereas my wife just like boom, 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 she moves all the time. And so I think that the genetic component can at least in part be attributed to how you think about things, what you're like, are you able to focus? Are you able to just relax a little bit? If you're a person who has trouble relaxing, you might have a higher level of NEAT, be burning more calories. So that's what I would say. What do you think?
I'm going to come at this whole last few minutes from a completely different angle.
Cool.
So I actually saw that story because I went on Instagram before this because I wanted to see if you had said anything publicly about Trump prior to us recording this. And I wanted to see if like you were making content about it to get a feel for where you were at with your public facing positions on the subject. Now,
did I live up to?
Well, there was nothing Trump related that I saw.
I know.
Oh, okay.
But I gave my full on public facing. I gave my full opinion public facing here. Like I didn't leave anything
this
back.
Was amazing. Yeah, this was just a regular conversation between the boys. I read, Jordan does a great job with his stories of educating. And I was kind of just looking for like a picture of the Don. And so I didn't read every story, but that one, for whatever reason, caught my eye and I did read it. And what was more interesting to me, because I think it's pretty well established that there can be, I don't remember the 200 to 900 or 200 to 700, like a decent range in terms of calorie expenditure per day driven by non-exercise activity thermogenesis, primarily genetically driven. I had never, and I think actually never, heard someone say that hunger, and I don't remember if you said hunger is primarily genetic or if genetics are like a significant
major
factor,
component of it.
A major component. I had never heard that. I had assumed it because we know of the role leptin plays in hunger. We know about the role that ghrelin plays in hunger. So those are hormones. We're starting GLP-1s. We're starting to understand peptides a little, like probably just scratching the surface, but understanding them a little bit better. Anything that I have ever studied or heard around that subject had to do with factors within our control that have an influence on those hormones, whether it's fasting, whether it's not being in too large of a deficit, whether it's
caffeine consumption,
protein and fiber are ways to naturally secrete GLP-1 in the gut. So I had never thought about because there is almost certainly some genetic component to hunger. I had never thought of the degree to which genetics play a role in hunger.
So I've been doing a lot of research into GLP-1s and why they're so effective and who is good for them, who's not good for them. And what I'm looking at, it's been very interesting. We know that, for example, with diabetes, type 2 diabetes, we know that they might be insulin resistant. They're insulin resistant, right?
Yep.
And with type 1 diabetes, they might not produce sufficient insulin, right?
Okay.
So if either you could have the problem of being insulin resistant or you could have the problem of not producing enough. It appears that it's very similar with GLP-1, where you can actually be...
But real quick, with type 1 diabetics, from a very young age that you're not producing enough insulin. No one is born a type 2 diabetic.
Correct. Yep.
So you're not born insulin resistant. You become insulin resistant.
Correct. Yep.
Yeah. Yep.
Correct. Yep. I think that there's a genetic component to it. Actually, my buddy Tucker, who's a doctor, that was one of the things he studied was if your mom is insulin resistant.
Don't appeal to authority on me.
If your mom is insulin resistant, severely overweight when she's pregnant with you, how that can impact your own level of insulin resistance.
Yep, via epigenetics.
Exactly.
Yes, that's true.
So that isn't that like not necessarily you becoming that, but you could already be predisposed to it based on how your mom was essentially when she was pregnant with you.
Yes.
So that is interesting. But what I'm looking at with the GLP-1 is that you can be GLP-1 resistant and you can have not sufficient amount of GLP-1, glucagon-like peptide 1, which massively influences hunger. So if you are resistant to it and or aren't producing enough of it, then your hunger levels will be vastly different than someone who is very sensitive to it and or is producing enough of it, which is where these weight loss injections come in, where it's like it can give you it can decrease your hunger through injecting that, that's where I don't know if that makes sense.
Complete sense. The amount of GLP-1 you produce naturally has some kind of impact on your hunger levels. Like I'm fully with you on there with all of that. Then the jump from not producing enough naturally to that being genetically driven versus
lifestyle behavior driven.
50 years of behavior driven. Yeah, is where
correct.
My intuition leads me to primarily nurture rather than nature. Why do I always mix those up? Primarily lifetime behaviors.
It would be very interesting to see, like, over time, follow people for years, see, like, okay, from birth or from a young age, how much they have, their level of resistance, their level of production, and follow that over years. That would be extraordinary. I don't know if that's been done yet or not. I doubt it, but that would give us a lot of insight.
Yeah, it would be very interesting. There is so much more we don't know on this subject right now compared to what we do know, which will be interesting over the next 30 to 50 years to see what happens.
Bro, this was an all-time pod.
Was it an all-time pod? We got GLP-1s.
I think so.
We got recreational sports, and we got
the Don.
Yeah, we have. I'm still in shock that there was an assassination attempt on our former president and front runner for the next presidency, and a bullet went through his ear, and he stood up and chanted "fight, fight, fight" immediately after. Like it's beyond and beyond that we're so desensitized to it, and our faces are all on our phones so much, and we're so distracted that people are acting like it's just another walk in the
another
park.
movie.
Yeah, and it really happened.
And he showed up to the RNC within 48 hours. Like, dude, I don't know if I'd want to leave my freaking house. I'd be like, I'm staying in here. I don't like people are gonna try and kill me. And he's just out there, bandaged up on his ear, just insane.
Absolutely insane.
And respect to Biden and Obama and to everyone who came out and disavowed that act. Like, huge respect.
Yeah, and most people, right? Like
logical people would, yeah.
I'm hoping that we're talking about a significant minority of people who have the more outlandish, I wish it didn't miss, and this is totally staged. Like, my hope is that that's a less than 2 to 5% of the population. I don't know. That's my hope. Great episode. Thank you all very much for listening.
The best episode. It was the best. A lot of people, many people like it. Everyone likes it. I don't know if you've heard, everyone likes the episode.
It's good. It's good, bro. Jordan does good.
It's good. Frankly, very impressed.
Give us some more. Give us some different accents. What else you got?
No. That's one episode, one accent an episode. I'll do a different accent next episode. You get to choose though. I'll do whatever you say. Whatever accent you want.
Really?
Yeah, because you decide. It's not me deciding. Then they can blame you.
In 2018, you did a wide array of accents of different languages, cultures. Yeah. And like 9 of them were funny, and 2 of them got really negative backlash.
I know, which is so funny because people, I don't know, they just get so mad.
Adherents are, man.
Yeah.
Right. Good episode. We'll be back next week. Have a good one.
See ya.